Hey everyone and welcome back to Roadside Coder. So today we're gonna learn Material UI in one single video. We're gonna learn components of Material UI such as button, typography, container, toolbar, sidebar drawer, and many more others. Also, we're going to create the UI of this beautiful blogging website completely by using Material UI. In this website, we have this beautiful header over here, this featured section with these featured post components, and we have our main blogging area. Also, we have this sidebar with the about and the archives and the social of the user. And when we scroll down, we can see this beautiful footer over here as well. Now, if we scroll up and click on this menu button, we can see this side drawer popping up with all of the categories. And if we, let's say, make this web page smaller, so I'm gonna click on inspect element and make it responsive, you can see this website is perfectly responsive. You can see the cards are now taking full width of the screen and the sidebar has gotten down over here. So let's not waste any more time and let's get started. So I'm gonna start by initializing a new React app. I'm gonna type npx create React app and I'm gonna give the name of this app, which I'm gonna give, let's say, Material UI tutorial, and press enter. So now what it's going to do, it's going to go to npm's repository and it's going to take the create React app and bring it to this folder right here. This folder right here. So it's going to initialize a new React app for us so that we can start working on it. Alright, so our React app has initialized successfully. Now let's switch to that folder. We can either type cd Material UI tutorial, or we can go to file and press open folder and open that particular folder. So let's start our app first. So let's type npm start. Here we go. Our React app has started successfully. I'm going to dock it to the side over here. Okay, now inside of the src folder, you can see there are a bunch of files, and I'm going to delete the files that we don't need. So I'm going to delete setup tests, app tests, logo svg, and press delete. Now as we delete these, you can see our app has started complaining because it was using those files somewhere. So as you can see, logo was being used over here. So I'm going to remove it and everything inside of this header. And type hello world. There you go. Our hello world is right over here. Now let's discuss about Material UI. So let's go to Google and search Material UI. I'm going to click on the first link, and here's our Material UI's website. So Material UI is React components for faster and easier web development. Material UI provides us with a pre-built component so that it makes our React app development faster. So let's click on get started. So you can see it's telling us how to install Material UI. So I'm going to copy this line up and go to our terminal. I'm going to open another terminal and paste it over here. npm install Material UI/core and press enter. Okay, so our Material UI has finished installing. It takes a little bit of while to get installed. I've skipped all of the installation part, but for you it might take like a minute or two to get installed. Alright, great. Now let's switch back to our browser. So I'm going to go to components and click on button. So you can see we can create all of these types of buttons and more below. So let's try to create a normal button. As you can see over here, it has given us this code below it. So let's go over here. I'm going to remove hello world and type button. And you can see over here, it's giving us suggestion that auto import from Material UI. So I'm going to click on it. So as you can see, it has imported the button from Material UI core. So let's say click me and save it up. Let's just try to first restart our app since we have installed Material UI. So let's just restart our app first. There we go. You can see our button has rendered in between, but we can't clearly see what's over there. If we resize the web page, you can see the click me is over here. So let's change its color first. So I'm gonna go over here and I'm gonna give it a prop of color. And I'm gonna press CTRL and space. Then you can see we have 4 options over here. I'm gonna select default. So it was already in default, so nothing happened. So let's just change it to primary. And you can see it has turned into blue. Let's change it to secondary. It has turned red. And watch what happens if I change it to inherit. It's gonna inherit the color which is most suitable for this web page, which is white. You can see, because white can be clearly visible on this dark background. Now next prop that we can give it is the variant. As you can see in this page, we have different variants. For example, this contained variant, and you can see this without the background variant, and this outlined variant. So how do we provide this? We go over here and press CTRL and space. And if you do that, you can see we have ton of options over here. We can select it, and among these options there has to be something called variant. There it is, variant equals. So if you press CTRL space, you can see contained, outlined, and text. So I'm gonna give it contained, and there we go. So let me just remove this color for now, since we have given it the contained variant. You see, our button looks much pretty now. So similarly, you can check different props by pressing CTRL and space, and it's gonna give you more props over here. So one of these props is size. Size equals, I'm gonna press CTRL space again. You can see it has 3 options. I'm gonna go with large, and you can see the button has grown a little bit. It has grown to a large size. Now I'm gonna try to give it an icon. If we go back to our documentation, you can see over here that you can see these buttons have these icons over here on the start and on the end of it. So to apply these icons, I'm gonna have to give start icon and give it the name of the icon that we need. But where will the icons come from? It comes from a special library called Materialui icons, which we haven't installed yet. So let's install that library first. I'm gonna go over here in getting started and installation. We can see right over here, SVG icon npm installed Materialui icons. So I'm gonna copy it up, and I'm gonna go to terminal and paste this line and press enter. So it's going to install the Materialui icons over here. So if you go to search and search icons, so material icons. So here we see we have bunch of icons over here. So if we go over here and type send, you can see we have this send icon over here, which we can import by typing this line. And if we type delete, we have this delete icon over here. So let's just use it in our application. I'm going to use send icon. Let's copy it. And as you can see, our Materialui icons has installed successfully. So I'm going to import it over here. Import send icon from Materialui/icon/send. So start icon, and I'm going to give it send icon. Okay, so I made a mistake. It is supposed to be like this. If we are supposed to render an icon, we have to give these braces around it and save it. And now you can see there's a send icon before click me. Let's try to give it an end icon. An ending icon. So I'm gonna type end icon. And let's give it delete icon. Okay, it's not auto importing. Let's go back to our Materialui. And I'm going to search it over here, delete. Delete, just like that. I'm going to copy this line, paste it over here. So we need this delete icon over here. Let's save it and check. You can see we have the start icon and end icon. If we remove the start icon, we will still have the end icon. So this is what Materialui icon helps us to do. Now when we gave it the property of color, we saw that we have only 4 options. If I give it the primary, it's gonna be converted into primary color. If I give it secondary, then it's gonna be converted into the secondary color. But how do we give it our custom color? There's a lot of way to do this, but the simplest way to do it is by style prop. So if we type style and just give it normally the background color, let's give it of blue, and you can see it overrides this color property and gives it the blue color. So this is how you can give it a custom color. So I'm going to remove this color for now. Alright, now you can see if we click on it, we can see this ripple effect. So what do we do if we have to disable this effect? So if we go over here and type disable ripple and save it. Now if we click on it, you can see there is no ripple effect. We can also disable the elevation. And now you can see, you might not notice, but it has disabled with the elevation. If I remove this line, you can see there's a little bit of shadow down over here. So this is how it helps us. Now you might be thinking, how will I know that all of these options exist? Now what if I don't have this functionality of pressing CTRL space? What if I am coding on Notepad? Then I'm not gonna have all of these functionalities. Yes, you are right. So let me tell you how you can explore where you can find these options. So if you go to the documentation, let's go to the buttons documentation over here. If you go very down of this documentation, you can see there's an API heading over here. Then you can click on this button tag over here. So it takes you to the button API page. In this page, you can find all of the props that are being used inside of the button. For example, we used the color. So it gives the explanation over here, the color of the component. It supports those themes that make sense for the component. And it gives you the types of the options that you can provide it. Just like that, we have provided it the disable ripple, we provided the end icon, and we've got the bunch of other props over here which you can explore. So this is how you can use the Material UI to explore and use the components according to your liking. So I'm going to dock it back to side. And now let's start working on our blog application that I showed you at the beginning of the video. So I got the idea of this application from over here. If we go on to get started and click on templates, you can see there are a bunch of pre-built templates over here. But if we go on to this blog application, you can see, but it doesn't have that pretty of a header. That's why I decided to create a header of my own with the sidebar. But most of this app is similar to the original one. So I'm gonna teach you how you can create a web page like this on your own just by using Material UI and no CSS. And the CSS that we're going to be used is called use styles, that is going to be inbuilt inside of the Material UI. So I'm going to show you how you can do that. So let's get started with our blog project. So let's remove all of this stuff for now. I'm going to remove this header, and you can see these default stylings are also over here due to this class name. I'm going to remove all of this up. I'm going to remove everything inside of the app CSS and these icons that we have imported earlier. And just type hello world. There we go. Now the first thing that we're going to use inside of our application is called container. So I'm going to go over here and remove this div and type container. And you can see over here it's asking us to auto import from Material UI. So yes, we're going to import it. Alright, so it has imported the container. Now you can see there's a little bit of space at the side of this hello world text over here. As we maximized our window, you can see the space has increased even more. Let's try to do it just like that. And you can see the space is increasing according to the size of the page. So let's go to Material UI documentation and try to understand what this container actually is. I'm going to go to search and type container. So the container centers your content horizontally. It's the most basic layout element. So let's see what container provides us. It provides us with this max width prop. Let's try to use it. I'm going to go over here and type max width. And let's see what options does it provide. It provides us large, medium, small, extra small. Let's go with the large one. And I'm going to resize our screen. Nothing seems to have changed. Let's go with some another. Let's go with the small one. Okay, now it has changed. Now you can see the screen has gotten smaller. If we resize our page, you can see the hello world is adapting to the page size. So it made our page fairly responsive. So we're not going to use max width over here. Now why are we using this container in the first place? If we go to our final application, you can see there's a space at the both side of this application. So this is the container is what allows this application to have this space. And if we go to a smaller screen, you can see that space is gone now. Just like that. So this is what container allows us to do. So let's move forward. So inside of this container, I'm going to create our header component. So let's create a header component which is not yet created. So I'm gonna go to src and create a new folder called components. And inside of it, I'm going to create a new file for header.js. And if I type RAFCE, you can see it provides us a boilerplate code. I'm going to type header inside of it. And let's import the header by typing ctrl space and pressing enter. The header is imported, and you can see over here as well. So we have to create this header right over here. So if we press on this button, we have this sidebar popped up. But let's just create this header first. I'm gonna create the sidebar at the last. Okay, so inside of this header, I'm gonna import something called toolbar from Materialui. So let's just remove this divs. We don't need this div. So type toolbar. And you can see it's telling us to auto import from Materialui core. I'm gonna auto import it just like that. If we save it up, you can see there's nothing inside of it. If we type hello, you can see there's a fairly good padding at the sides of this because it's inside of a toolbar. Just like this, we can see there's a padding around this. So this is because of this toolbar component. So I'm gonna import another thing called divider. Now we will see this line over here. You can see there's a line over here. So this is what divider did. And I'm going to import another toolbar for our second line to write express your emotions through words. Toolbar. Great, so we have created our two toolbars. I'm gonna remove this hello for now. Alright, now inside of this toolbar, what are we supposed to build? We are supposed to create a menu button, this blogging website text, and these two buttons at the side. So I'm gonna go inside of it and I'm gonna type icon button. Whenever we import an icon and we're supposed to use it as a button, we use this component called icon button and we create it inside of it. So menu icon, I'm gonna import a menu icon, so it's not getting auto imported. So let me go back to the documentation, menu icons. Whoop. There we go. Here's our menu icon. So I'm gonna copy it up and paste it over here. Let's see. There we go. There's our menu icon. What do we need to do next? We need to write this text over here, the blogging website. So for that text, we're going to use a component called typography from Material. So typography provides us a bunch of different variants and props. So one of the variants that we're going to use is called variant, and inside of it, it gives you a bunch of options for if you want to create a caption, different headings, an overlay, a subtitle. So I'm going to create a heading, and heading will be h6. So I haven't given it any text, so blogging website. There we go. Looks great. Now second, we need to create two more icon buttons. So icon button, I'm going to copy it again. So first icon button will be this notification icon, and the other one will be this account circle icon. So let's go back to Materialui and search for notification icon. There you go. Let's copy this. And the one that we need is called account circle. this one. So I'm going to copy this as well. There it is. Let's go inside of it and first import notification icon. And the other one will be for account circle. Just like that. So we have the basic setup for our header done over here. Now you can see over here, this has this notification. This has this badge over here on this notification icon. So how do we create this? So let's go to Materialui. And let's search for badge. So we have this badge component over here. We can see if we wrap any component inside of this badge component, it's gonna give it this badge component. So let's try to do that for notification icon. So we have this badge component. I'm gonna push it inside of this badge component. Okay, it's not defined, so let's import it first. There we go. We can see the blue badge icon is over here. So let me just give it a secondary color so that it turns to red. There we go. Looks much prettier. Alright, so now we need to shift all of these to the side. So we need to give this a little bit of styling. So I'm gonna give all of these some class name. Also I'm gonna give all of this icon button a color of inherit. So if we later decide to change our theme, all of these icons inherit to that particular color. Great. Now let's give them a class name. And you can see automatically that these buttons have gotten darker now. Alright, I'm gonna give this typography a class name. I'm gonna give it the class name of classes dot title. Now you might be confused where this classes is coming from. Don't worry, I'm going to explain it all to you. And I'm gonna give this express your emotions through words a class name as well. It's gonna have the class name of tagline. Great, now it's going to give us this error that classes is not defined. Now this is where the use styles come in. The use styles is the Materialui's inbuilt CSS, or you can say style solution, you can call it. So it provides us the solution to provide the styles inside of Materialui. So I'm gonna go and type const use styles and give it make style. So make styles is what we need to import. So make styles, and inside of it I'm gonna give it a theme. Inside of that we need to give it an object of title. So first there we're going to give it the title styles, that is for our blogging website text. So flex grow to be 1. Let's save it. And now I'm going to create an object for that classes. So const classes equals use styles, just like that. And now you're gonna see that, and now you see that all of these icons, both of these icons has been shifted to this right side. And I'm gonna give it another style. I'm gonna give the style to this tagline. Let's go and type tagline. I'm gonna give it style, let's say font size of 20. Great. I'm gonna give it 3 more styles, that is text transform uppercase, justify content center, and font family to be Montserrat. And there you go. Looks beautiful. Alright, did you notice one thing? Our final product website is this dark color, and the current website is in this light color. So how do we convert this website from light to dark color? Let's check that out. So if we go to Materialui, and I'm gonna search dark mode. You can see it provides us this solution to implement the dark mode in our application. So I'm going to copy this line and go to our app.js. Inside of our function, I'm gonna paste this line of dark theme, and it provides us this create MUI theme component. So I'm going to import it just like that and save it up. Now we need to use this dark theme somewhere. So I'm going to wrap our application into something called theme provider. Theme provider. And let's make sure it's imported. Okay, it's not imported. Now it's imported. So now let's push everything inside of this theme provider. And now you're gonna see the magic. If I provide this theme provider a theme, and that theme will be a dark theme. Okay, nothing much happened. Okay, it's because the background is already, it has converted into this dark theme, but the background is already white. So let me just make that background dark first. So I'm gonna go over here and type body, and I'll give it few styles. I'm gonna give it 2 lines of style. First, the background color will be black and the color will be white. Let's save it up, and there you go. You can see over here. Now you might be thinking, then what was the role of this theme provider? Don't worry, I'm gonna explain you along the way what it was being used for. You can see over here all of these components. These are in dark mode. If we haven't provided it this theme provider, this would have been in the light mode. Don't worry, I'm gonna explain it to you in just a second. So our header is created now. Now let's move on to our this featured blog post component. Let's go to app.js, and below header we're going to create a new component called featured post. Now we haven't created this featured post component yet, so I'm going to create it featured post.js RAFCE, and import our boilerplate code. I'm gonna write featured over here. Let's see if it has imported or not. Yes, now it has imported. Let's go back to our app. There we go. Now I'm gonna introduce you to something called cards in Materialui. So let's go to Materialui and search card. So we can see over here we got bunch of cards. We have this card design, we have this card design, the outline one, this post type of card design, this over here, and bunch of other card designs. So let's use it inside of our app. I'm gonna go to our featured post and remove all of this stuff. Inside of these braces, I'm going to import the card component, just like that. And inside of this card component, I'm going to give it the card content. So this will be our parent tag, the card, and inside of this, I'm gonna have the card content, just like that. And inside of it, let's see what are we supposed to do. We are supposed to create a title, a subtitle, and this button over here. So first I'm going to have a typography component, and inside of the typography we're going to give it the title. So let's give it the title of a longer featured blog post, just like that. Let's see. Okay, here we go. Our card is beginning to take the shape. Alright, second we need to provide this subtitle over here. So typography, and let's give it the variant of H2 or H5. My bad. Let's see. Okay, there we go. Looks good. So you might be wondering, why is this smaller than this? Don't worry, I'm gonna give it the styles later. Alright, so below the card content, what do we need? We need a button. So below the card content, I'm gonna create another component for card action. Card actions. So this is for call to actions of our card. So inside of this, I'm gonna import a button. Let's make sure the button is imported. Okay, it's okay, it has imported. And type read more. Let's see, there we go. Now let's quickly give them some styles. Alright, just like previously, we're going to import our make styles. So const use styles, and there's one more way to make this make styles. So previously I showed you that you can do this, that you need to pass this theme over here. It's optional. If you need to use this theme, only then you can pass it, or you can just not pass it and just create an object directly inside of it. and start writing your styles. So first one, it's going to be the for the title. So font size is going to be 40, and the font family is going to be Montserrat. Okay, I think I haven't assigned the class names. Yep, let me assign it up. First, I'm going to create the classes over here. So const classes, use styles, and I'm going to give these class names. The class names. So class name, and the card will have the class name of classes. Oops, classes.cover. So the classes.cover will have the background of our card, and the other class name will be given to this card content. Which will be classes dot text container. And the other one for this typography called classes dot title, which we just gave. So now you can see, there we go, our title has taken its shape because we provided it with these styles. And the last one will be for our button. Let's give this a variant of text first, which I think was default, so we didn't need to give it, but it's fine. So classes.btn. Alright, now let's start styling these. So the second one for the cover. So there you go. Inside of our cover, what I have done is I've provided it some padding. You can see the padding over here, and the background position is going to be center, and I've provided it a generic background image over here. So you can put any random image over here. And the third thing, what we're supposed to do, we're supposed to create it for the button. Okay, I have forgotten to give it one prop over here. So if we need to give a little bit of spacing between these typography, so below this typography, I'm gonna give it a gutter bottom prop. So what it's going to do, it's going to create a little bit of spacing between them. There we go. Now what's next? We need to create these card components, these two card components below it. And you can see if we maximize the window, you can see we have this image over here, but if we make it smaller, you can see the image goes away. So it acts as a responsive card, just like that. So let's create it. So I'm going to go to app.js. Let's just break this line by typing br, and below this I'm going to give it a grid component. Now what is a grid component all about? Let's find out. Let's first import it over here. I think we have already imported. Yes, the grid component imported. Let's hover on this grid and click on this grid over here. So it's going to take us to the grid page. So you can see we can provide this spacing between these grids, and we can make them responsive just like that. If we give the prop of x as 6, then it's going to take half of the screen, because the full is the 12 spacing. You can see over here in the extra small screen it's going to be 12, and in the extra small screen it's going to be 6, just like that. So let's just do it. You can see it's not changing, because in extra small it's 6, and above that it's also going to be the 6. But if we go over here, grid with breakpoints, in the extra small this grid is 12, but when the screen is small it's going to be 6. Now let's make this screen small. There you go. You can see in the small screen it's 6, but in the extra small it's xs equals 12. So this is what grid is. Now you might be a little bit confused, so let's just implement it first, then you'll understand what I'm trying to do over here. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a new folder over here called data, and inside of this data I'm going to import a file called data.js. So this file contains all of these categories that you see over here. Over here, all of these categories, all of this text, all of this sample blog post, etc. So you can use all of these texts inside of our projects. So what you need to do to get this file is you need to go to github.com/piyush-yon. The link will be in the description as well. So you can go over here, and inside of the repositories you can see there's a Materialui tutorial repository over here. So inside of the src folder, there's this data folder. So you can take this data file. Inside of this, we have all of this data over here. Now don't worry, I'm gonna explain to you that what we're going to do with this data. As you can see, we have this featured post that we are going to create over here. Okay, let's get back to our app.js, and now I'm going to loop, or I'm going to map through these featured posts. So featured posts, as you can see, it has been auto imported from the data file, that is this. So featured posts dot map, and I'm going to give it a post, and whoops, yep. And inside of this, I'm going to create a new component called post card, which we haven't created yet, but we're going to create it soon. So let me go to components and create a new file, postcard.js. Postcard, just like that, and I'm gonna import it. Alright, cool. We can see the postcard over here. So inside of our data.js, we can see this featured post provides us with the title, the date, the description, image, and the image text. So let's send all of this data to the postcard. Post equals post, and the other prop that we're going to have for the map is we need a key so that React can identify each of the child component. Post dot title, let's just give it the post dot title key. Okay, now I'm going to go inside of the post. Okay, so let's design it now. I'm going to remove this up, and I'm going to have another grid component over here. So why are we creating two grid components? It's because, as you can see over here, this is the parent grid, this is the the first grid, and this is the second grid. So we need to have a parent grid and the second and the third. So let's create another grid. This is going to be an item, and in the extra small screens, what we can see, it has turned into the 12. It has taken that full 12 spacing. So in the extra small screens, we need to give it 12, and in the medium screens, we need to give it 6. As you can see it is having 6. Now inside of it, we need to create a card component as we did earlier. So let's do that. Now inside of this, we need to create a card component, but wait, first thing you can see over here, if we click on this card, you can see this ripple effect. So where is this ripple effect coming from? If we want this ripple effect, we need to create our card inside of something called card action area. This thing, the card action area. So it's going to be a component which will act as an A if we want to provide it any link, and we can give it an href. If we can give it any link, so it can go to a specific web page. So inside of this, now we can create our card. Let's just give them the class names along the way. Classes dot post, classes dot card. But it's going to give us the error because we haven't created the use styles yet. So const use styles, make styles, and just like that. Now what do we need to do? We need to create const classes equals use styles. Now it's not going to give us an error, I guess. Yep, it's not giving us an error. Okay, so inside of the card, we're going to create a div which will have the class name of classes.cardDetails. So let me create this component quickly, and I'm going to explain you then what I did over here. Alright, here we go. I've created this component. So what I've done inside of it, I've given it a card content that we already have done in the previous component of featured post. So inside of the card, we have given the card component, we have given the typography of title, of the date, as you can see over here, the title, the date, and the description, and the continue reading. So you can see I've given the variant as subtitle, so it has gotten the smaller, and the component is h2, the variant is h5 for the heading. So now you can see it's giving us this error because it doesn't have this post over here. So that's because we haven't imported the post. Let's import the post. Okay, post is not defined. Let me refresh it. Okay, here we go. You can see our card has been created, but there's one thing missing. If we resize it, if we make it bigger, you can see it's not getting responsive. So we need to provide the styles to it. And one more thing, if we make it bigger, you can see it should have these pics over here, but it doesn't have these pics. So for that, we're going to use something called hidden component. Let's import hidden from Materialui. So hidden, it will be when the screen is extra small, then it's not going to be shown. So extra small down. So what it does, it whenever the screen is bigger, it's going to be shown. When the screen is small, it's not going to be shown. So I'm going to give it a card media inside of it. So card media, let's import it up. Okay, it has imported, and inside of this I'm going to give it the class name of classes dot card media. I'm going to give it an image. It takes an image as a prop, so post dot image. And the third thing is going to be it's taking a title, which is post dot image title. I think it's going to use it as a alt text. Let's see now. Let's go back. Hidden is not defined. Okay, we haven't imported the hidden yet. Oops. Yeah. Yes, now it's imported. Now let's see. Let's refresh the page. Okay, it's not getting visible. Let's create our use styles. So the card is going to have a display of flex, so that these both of the cards appear on the same line. And the card details will be flex 1, so that it takes the whole of this available space. And the card media, okay, we haven't given the card media of width, and the card media will be having the width of 160, so that it appears whenever the screen is larger. You can see, just like that. Okay, so let me see why these cards are not in the same line. It should work. Okay, I haven't given this grid a container component. I mean container prop, not the component. Okay, there we go. It's appearing in the same line. Also, we need some spacing between these. So let's give it some spacing of 4 pixels or 4, whatever it is, 4 pixels, or it's not the pixels, it's 4 something. Anyway, so there we go. Our card components have been created. Let's see what's in our next agenda. We need to create this. We need to create this blog part over here, and we need to create this sidebar. Let's quickly do that. For again, what we're going to do, we're going to create a grid around this, and we're going to create a grid around this, and grid around this. So we're going to need 3 grids again. So I'm going to set up another grid inside of this app.js. Container prop, and I'm going to give it spacing of 5, and let's give it some class name as well. Inside of this, I'm going to create 2 components. First one will be for this main part, and the second one will be for the side part, which is the sidebar, so to say. So first one will be the main, and the second one will be the sidebar, just like that. So main will have a title. Let's give this title from the fire hose, or whatever the title that you want to give. And the sidebar will have few props such as title, description, archives, and social. That is this the title, description, and the archives and the social. So we are going to import all of these from our data.js. You can see just like that. We have this sidebar over here. So let's import it. The title, it's coming from sidebar dot title, and just like that we're going to have a description, archives, and social. Okay, cool. So now it must be giving, yeah, it's giving us this error because we haven't created the main and sidebar component. So let's create those components. Alright, great. Now let's import it. Okay, classes is not defined. The class is not defined. Let me just give this grid a styling first. I'm just going to give it some theme spacing. So outside of this function, let's import make styles. Okay. So theme spacing is just going to give it the padding at the at the sides of this. So it's going to give it the 3 spacing. And let's create the classes const classes equals use styles. Okay, there we go. You can see main and the sidebar is over there. Now let's go inside of the main and let's start creating the main. I'm going to let's just put it just like that. Alright, so first of all, inside of the main, I'm going to create another grid as I mentioned, as we discussed. So grid is going to be an item. It's in the extra small screens, it's going to be 12, and in the medium screens, it's going to be 8, and the sidebar will be whatever the remaining, that is 4. You can see over here it's 8 and the sidebar is 4. Okay, there we go. Now inside of it, first let me just import the title that we brought. So title, which is coming from app.js. So first of all, we're going to create a typography. Let's import the typography. You can see over here. Where is it? Okay, it's not being displayed. Let me check that. Okay, it's the title. Yeah, there you go, from the fire hose. And below this, we're going to have a divider. And below this, we're going to have a markdown, just like that. Just this markdown. So to create this markdown, we're going to install a package called markdown2js. Markdown2jsx. Okay. So npm I markdown -2-jsx. So what it's going to do, it's going to take whatever is inside of these posts in this data. It's going to render it in the markdown style. So we can see over here, I've given it these hashes. It's going to create these hashes as heading and subheadings. So there we go, it has installed. Let's go back to our main, and below this, from the fire hose, we're going to create a markdown. First we need something called posts, which is coming from our data file. So posts dot map post, and I'm gonna import markdown. So markdown from markdown2jsx. So this is just to have a placeholder in this web page. We're just designing it. We're just designing the web page, so we don't need the functionality. So this package is just used for that. So post dot body. Let's see. There we go. All of the data is rendered over here, just like that. Now if you're using a real API, you can replace this part with your real API. Alright, there we go. Our main has been created. Now let's create the sidebar. Let me make it smaller. Yep. Now we need to create the sidebar part. First of all, what we need to do, I think first we need this card, the about card, and then all of these below this. So inside of the sidebar, so I'm going to quickly create this component and then I'll tell you what I did over here. Okay, here we have it. Here is our sidebar component. So what are we doing over here is, first of all, we're taking archives, description, social and title from the props. Let me just put it right inside of over here and remove it from here. Okay. And secondly, what we're doing is we're creating another grid, as you know, for this part. And inside of it, we're going to have a typography of title. Also, we're using something called paper. So what paper does is, it creates this thing. It creates a card-like component over here, but it looks something like a paper, which is a flat surface. So this is what a paper is used for. The elevation will be 0 and it's going to have a class name. So inside of this, we're just using a typography, as we already mentioned, with the title and description. Below this, we're going to use a typography of archives, and then we're looping through the archives in this link component, which is also coming from Materialui. So you can hover on it and you can click on it and explore this link component. Alright, so this is alright, and below this we're just rendering our social with another grid inside of it, and we're using an icon and we're using the text over here. So this is what it's happening. Let me just give it few styles as well, because if we save it now, you can see there's going to be an error. The use styles is not defined. So let me copy the styles up. I hope you're getting the hang of it, what we're trying to do in this tutorial. How my main motive is to let you know how you can create a good website by using Materialui. You need to be efficient in using Materialui. That's my main goal is. Alright, great. Now as we can see in our main website, we have this footer component over here. So we need to create this footer component as well. So let's go to app.js, and below this container, footer is going to have a title and a description. Just give a random title and description to it. And footer is not a big deal. I guess you can do it easily. So I'm going to paste the code that I have already created. So let me explain it. So we're just creating a container inside of this footer. Just a sec. Okay, user styles. Let me get the user styles too. Okay, what am I doing over here? Wait, I'm just importing a container over here. As you can see, there's a gap in the side of this footer. So that is what the container is doing. And I've given it a few styles before it, which you can easily understand if you download this repository from my GitHub. And we're giving it a title, we're giving it a description over here, and some copyright text, just like that. So this is what a basic footer is. You don't need to understand much. It's already covered whatever I have covered earlier. It already has whatever I've covered earlier. Anyway, let's shut this down and let's get down to our main component, which is this thing, our sidebar, our side drawer, so to say. So let's see how we can create this side drawer. I'm gonna go to Materialui and search drawer. Let's go to this drawer, and this is how you are going to. I'm gonna explain you how you can use Materialui efficiently if you have no idea what this component is all about. So you can see over here we have this left drawer, right drawer, top, bottom. What we need is we need this left drawer. So what we're going to do, we're going to click on this icon, show the full source, and we're going to just copy whole of this code without even thinking. We're just going to be copying it, and then we're going to modifying it inside of our app. So go to the components and create a new file called side drawer.js, and I'm just going to dump all of that code inside of it. Now it's going to be a little bit confusing, but let's try to understand how we can use this code. So let's come over here. The first thing we see is top, left, bottom, right. Okay, what do we need? We just need left. So we're just going to get rid of all of these. Great, I hope it's clear till now. And let's go over here. At the bottom, you can see, not over here, over here. It's rendering left, right, top and bottom over here. So we don't need that, and it's rendering it in the place of this anchor. So wherever this anchor is coming, I'm gonna replace it with the left. So over here, over here, over here, left, and inside of here, and here. So left. Okay, we have replaced it. Now we can get rid of this map function. So get it out of here and save it up. Okay, so we have done one more thing. And let's check, do we have something else to change? Okay, let's try to render it first, then we can see. Okay, one more thing, you can see over here, whenever we click on this left button, it's going to open the side drawer. But we don't want to click on this left button. Where do we want to click it? We want to click in this menu button. So what can we do to make that happen? So if we go to our header component where our menu icon is located, what do we need to do? We need to wrap this menu icon in side drawer component. So if I type side drawer, okay, the side drawer is not defined because if you go over here, the name is temporary drawer. I'm gonna change it to side drawer. Okay, yeah, fine. Now let's import the side drawer. Okay, it's not getting imported. Let me manually import it. Import side drawer from /side drawer. There we go. Now what is this menu button? This menu button is the children of this side drawer. So if we go inside of this side drawer and if we import all of the children and put it right over here. Now let's see what happens. Let's see if this gives us any error or not. Nope, it's working absolutely fine. Great, we have achieved this. We have successfully created our side drawer in a few minutes. Now what do we need to change? We need to change all of these options to all of these options with this heading of categories. So how are we going to do that? Now let's see where this icon, inbox, starred mail, send email are located. So if we search the file, okay, we can see over here this part and this part. This is where the content is located. So we need to change this part. So firstly, for the first part, okay, where is the browser? Yeah, for the first part, let's just above this divider line, I'm going to remove all of this stuff. Let's remove all of this and let's just give it a single list item and call it categories. Let's save this and let's see what happens. Okay, there we go. And now for the below part, where is it? There we go. What we need to do, we need to remove all of these and we need to bring in our own data. So if we go inside of the data, we have these sections over here. So that is what we need. So if we go to side drawer and we render sections and press enter, it's going to be auto imported over here. Let's save it and let's see if it's working or not. I'm sure it's going to give us some error. Okay, it's not giving us the error. Something's wrong. Okay, let's see. So key equals text. Okay, we don't want the text. What we want the title. So text dot title. So primary text dot title, and over here as well, text dot title. Let's save this up and let's see. There we go. All of our options have successfully rendered over here. So this is how you can use Material UI efficiently to create your own website. And you can see how less CSS we have to use to create all of this stuff. Even to create this single component we have to use so much CSS, but not in the case of Material UI. We created it so easily, and to create a card like this, to create a ripple effect like this, we have gotten so much. It has gotten so much easier due to Material UI. So guys, if you like this tutorial, just give this video a huge fat thumbs up and subscribe to the channel with bell notification turned on. It motivates me to create more such awesome videos. Now next, you can watch these tutorials which I have created using React and Material UI to make your Material UI knowledge even more better. So thank you all for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Goodbye.